Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 590. Arrodes's Bottom Line. Early in the morning, above the gray fog, Klein conjured a pen and paper as he deliberated over the divination statement. Using the radio transceiver is dangerous. After carefully checking the statement twice, he took out the spirit pendulum under his left sleeve and began divining. During this process, he was on high alert and was somewhat afraid. He was like a child covering his ears while lighting firecrackers. If the outcome would involve the true creator or the primordial demonis, then he would encounter danger simply from divining it. If it were any other person, they would only end up losing control or dying. However, Klein had the gray fog to shield him and prevent him from having such a tragic outcome. Hence, it was obvious that anything that happened above the gray fog was better than courting death in the real world. He was afraid that the using it repeatedly would allow the evil gods to lock onto him and personally pay him a visit. He quickly entered the state of cogitation and silently recited the divination. After chanting 7 times, he knew the answer without opening his eyes, since he was completely fine sitting there in his seat and wasn't suffering from any extreme pain. When Klein looked at the dangling topaz, he discovered that it was indeed spinning counterclockwise. Phew! Klein heaved a sigh of relief and immediately returned to the real world and began preparing a ritual to bring the radio transceiver from above the gray fog to the real world. After about half an hour, he finally heard the radio transceiver produce its clickety-clack. An illusory piece of white paper was spat out with lines of Loanese words written on it. "I'm here. Great Master, is that you? Why does it feel like it's craning its neck?" Klein suddenly recalled the emoticons from his previous life. It was an adorable alpaca that craned its neck out. He took 2 steps forward and tersely answered in a reserved manner. Amidst clicking sounds, more illusory paper was spat out. "Your loyal and humble servant, Arrodes, at your service." Klein hid his discomfort in the depths of his heart and asked, "Arrodes, tell me, where is Roy King from the Life School of Thought?" Due to the chubby apothecary's description, he knew that the organization developed itself based on a master and apprentice system. He inferred that they grasped the 2 beyonder pathways of monster and apothecary. This matched the characteristics of the Life School of Thought. Meanwhile, Klein prepared Roy King's picture, with the intention of relying on himself rather than on others. The tapping sounds intensified as Arrodes produced a portrait with the radio transceiver. It was none other than Roy King with his hair neatly combed back while wearing a framed pair of glasses. "Is this him?" A line of Loanese appeared behind the portrait. Klein nodded. "Yes." Arrodes made the radio transceiver's tapping sound turn abnormally brisk. "Great Master, the person you wish to find is imprisoned in the Governor General's office of the City of Generosity, Byam." "Locked in the Governor General's office?" Klein frowned slightly and wasn't in a rush to continue asking. He said with confidence and frankness, "All right, according to your rules, it's your turn to ask." Tap. 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 Arrodes used the radio transceiver to produce a smiley face and a line of text. "I've already asked, and you have already answered." "When did that happen?" Klein was taken aback before looking at the content before the illusory piece of paper. He saw the previous question. "Is it him? This works? That actually counts?" In that instant, Klein finally understood how much freedom Arrodes had to its rules. Against any ordinary person, it could be as strict and vile as it wanted. It even needed spectators, but when it came to Klein, those rules were ignored, and he blatantly made it easy. How did this guy adopt such a personality? Klein considered for 2 seconds before asking another question. "Arrodes, do you know the book Grozel's Travels?" Arrodes fell silent for 2 seconds before making the radio transceiver type. It spat out more illusory paper. "Great Master, your question is too nice for me. All I needed to do was answer yes to be done with the question. I've modified the question a little, changing it to tell me what you know about Grozel's Travels. This is a very magical book. Many of its owners have vanished. I'm unable to tell who its creator is, but I'm certain that it first appeared among the dragons, after the disappearance of the City of Miracles, Liveseed. It appeared after the City of Miracles live seed, which was conjured by the Dragon of Imagination Ankwelt. I might be able to recommend this to Miss Justice. She might be interested. If she really wishes to buy it, as a middleman, I can study it ahead of time above the gray fog. If something bad happens from the study, resulting in the complete destruction of the book, I can tell her that the seller went back on their word and a refund was made. Thinking of this, being a platform is really promising. Klein's thoughts raced as he said to the radio transceiver, "It's your turn. I do want to know what kind of odd question you can ask." Klein thought silently. Arrodes didn't pause as he produced a line in Loanese. "Great Master, I've already asked and you have already answered. When did that happen?" Klein looked in confusion and amusement at the first few pages of illusory paper before finally seeing the so-called question at the beginning. "Great Master, is that you? I have to say that this magic mirror named Arrodes really shows no shame when it tries to suck up to me. However, such a paired question format really satisfies an OCD. It's like the operator back when I studied programming languages myself." Klein cleared his throat and continued asking, "Why was Roy King imprisoned in the Governor General's office?" The radio transceiver produced its clickety-clack and spat out illusory paper. "Ever since the disappearance of the Snake of Mercury from the Life School of Thought, the organization fractured and encountered plenty of danger. Some even died at the hands of the Rose School of Thought. The Life School of Thought developed in a secretive manner with the master and apprentice format, but they have an elder council among the upper echelons. They harmonize the conflicts between the different internal factions. Since the fifth epoch, the Elder Council changed to a more trendy name known as the Fate Council. There are 7 counselors, and the Snake of Mercury is the president. Roy King's teacher is one of the Fate counselors and had got into trouble after the Snake of Mercury's disappearance. And before this, he had handed an important sealed artifact of the Life School of Thought to Roy King. This is the reason why Roy King was secretly captured by the lone military. The disappearance of the Snake of Mercury? Klein instantly made the connection to Will Osepton, who was hiding in Backland, as well as the other Snake of Mercury that had been pursuing him without ever showing its face. Klein suspected the other Snake of Mercury to be Angel of Fate, Ouroboros. The Life School of Thought's Snake of Mercury is definitely not the one searching for Will Osepton, as he has had plenty of opportunities to contact his organization and not be missing. Perhaps it's Will Osepton, or a third snake. This cannot be determined. Klein gently nodded and said to the radio transceiver, "Ask. I'm sure you haven't asked me any other questions." Hee, let's see what you'll ask." I have to say, people have a little bit of masochism in them. Others are afraid of Arrodes's questions, but it has already waved off 2 questions for me. Now I do wish for it to formally ask me a question." Klein waited with piqued interest. Tap. 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 The radio transceiver's sound suddenly became somewhat solemn as the illusory piece of paper spat out with increasing difficulty. "Well, Great Master, what should I do to be a better loyal and humble servant? I've underestimated your bottom line." Klein restrained his exasperated expression as he replied in a deep voice. "Just maintain your present state." "All right." The tapping sounds became lighter again. "The aura is about to disperse. Your loyal and humble servant, Arrodes, awaits to be at your service." Finally, Arrodes added a drawing of a hand waving. "It's really talented." "That's right, it's not hard for a magic mirror that knows so much, to know such things." Klein watched as the radio transceiver turned silent. He took a few steps and sat by the edge of the bed, considering the matter regarding Roy King. He had no intention of infiltrating Bayam's Governor General's office and rescuing Roy King under the military's tight security. This was because he didn't know the man at all, and he hadn't even seen him before. The only connection they had was through the chubby apothecary. The basement of the Church of Storms definitely has many Beyonders locked up there. But what has that got to do with me? Klein chuckled as he shook his head. In the information provided to him by Arrodes, Klein noticed that the mystical item which Admiral of Blood Senior had, which made him sufficiently lucky, came from the Life School of Thought. There was a high probability that the faction backing this pirate admiral was the Rose School of Thought. They were taking advantage of the Snake of Mercury's disappearance, so they could kill members of the Life School of Thought. This also reminds me that I need to be more careful than before when dealing with pirate admirals. Vice Admiral Ailment Tracy had gotten Demonis of unaging Katerina Pell without any notice. The other pirate admirals wouldn't be without their supporters. They often represent a faction, an organization. Admiral of Blood is backed by the Rose School of Thought, while Admiral of Stars is backed by the Moses Ascetic Order, as well as for our Tarot Club. The backer of Admiral Hell is likely the Numinous Episcopate and the King of the Five Seas. As for Vice Admiral Iceberg, she's likely backed by the Church of the God of Knowledge and Wisdom. The backers for Vice Admiral Deep Sea and Vice Admiral Dusk are currently unknown, but it's definitely impossible that they relied solely on themselves to reign supreme over the seas for so many years. Now, on second thought, which faction was backing Vice Admiral Hurricane Kalangos? The one that gave him creeping hunger, or the unspeakable organization that instigated him to assassinate Duke Negan? Yes, I must be careful not to expose my intention of hunting pirate admirals in the future. Furthermore, I can only make one attempt and immediately distance myself if I fail. As Klein's thoughts varied, he suddenly thought of something. The paper crane that was personally folded by that Snake of Mercury, Will Auceptin, was still with him,